Amines are weak bases, and their functional group looks like this. It has an NH2 group in it, which you might notice looks quite similar to ammonia, NH3. So amines have similar properties to ammonia, except they smell fishy, like rotten fish. Because they're bases, amines react with acids by accepting a proton H+, and we'll have a look at that in another video clip. But if we have a look at what the smallest amine is, it's this structure here, where the R from the functional group is replaced with a methyl group, a CH3 group. Now, how do we name that? Well, if we have a look at naming, there are two ways that you can name amines. The first way, you can name the hydrocarbon side chain, so that's your alkyl group with a YL on the end of it, and add the amine on the end, and add not the amine, but just amine on the end. So if we look at that structure from the previous page, you can see there is a hydrocarbon side chain with one carbon in it. So we call that methyl. So this is just methyl amine. Methyl amine. Another structure has two carbons in its hydrocarbon side chain, so we would call that ethyl amine. And this structure here, if you count up, has 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons in it, so we would call that butyl amine. That's one way of naming amines. If we have a look at a second way, you can use the prefix amino and then name the hydrocarbon. And for these three structures, they would be an alkane hydrocarbon because they end, because all the carbons have only single bonds. So if we have a look at this first structure here, methylamine, using the amino prefix, we would call that aminomethane. And then looking at the second structure with two carbons, we would call this one aminoethane. And finally, down the bottom, that structure would be aminobutane. So there's two ways of naming amines, and I'd like you to be familiar with both of them because either of them can crop up at any time. So where do we see amines in real life other than in fish that are starting to break down? Well, everyday examples of amines include names or products that have names ending in INE in them. So caffeine is an example, panadine, codeine, and nicotine. They're all examples of substances that contain amines.